So we're here with John, who is a independent game developer, basically, and he's the developer of the game Everyday Shooter. And we just want to ask him a few questions about it. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Everyday Shooter?
Okay, so it's like a music album, but instead of a bunch of songs, it's actually a bunch of shoot 'em ups. And the way it's set up is, once the song ends, it'll just automatically switch to the next shoot 'em up. And each shoot 'em up, like the controls are the same. As you play Geometry Wars, it's kind of like that. Cool. But the gameplay is completely different. There's like each level has its own training system, has its own music, has its own visual style, and
So you said you wanted it to be somewhat like a CD. You said where there's like 12 different songs.
yeah. Well, there's actually 8 because it's a lot of work making these levels.
Yeah.
But I felt 8 was a good number because 8's a lucky number.
So they were all kind of separate then.
Yeah, they're very separate. They're just imagine like a music album except you're playing shooters, and all the sound effects are the music is all guitars and sound effects are guitars, and it's all sort of harmonious with each other.
Sweet.
So it's got this, it's a really visual, audio, gameplay together.
It's awesome. So how long have you been designing games?
I started programming games. I met this guy in grade school, grade 7, Pepin Wilcock, and he started teaching me programming. And ever since I discovered that there was a way to make video games, that was like, I stopped eating. That's why I'm so skinny now. I used to be really fat, but.
Sweet. Okay. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you think perhaps the future of video games? What do you see 10 years from now in terms of kind of games that come out?
10 years from now, I think that because the technology is advancing so fast that you don't really need to be an engineer to make video games anymore. You don't need to go to comp sci or whatever. You could just download GameMaker and a lot of my favorite games are made by 15-year-old kids, like Raging Skies or whatever, Legend of Shadow. So I think we're gonna see a lot more people who aren't technically minded come into making games. The problem with technically minded people is they see a game as this sort of engineering thing where you're building a bridge, you're building a simulation. But another way to see a game is, it's just actions and reactions, and it's using different traditional media paintings or visuals and sounds to create different reactions. And I think Everyday Shooter is kind of like that. It's not simulating jack shit. It's just I don't know, all these colors and sounds and stuff. So I think we're gonna see a lot more. I want to say abstract games, but more games from a non-technical standpoint. Instead of complicated systems or whatever.
Well, that leads me to my other point, which you made an interesting point about innovation. So how do you go about coming up with new ideas for games, and what do you think is the best way?
See, that question is sort of that's really the problem. There's no how. You just go out and do it. You're not when you play guitar and you're writing a song. You're not okay, this is what I'm gonna do. This is my grand scheme. You just fucking pick it up and you start playing it.
But didn't you say you should just go in a room and play a bunch of games and then?
Yeah, you should do that. I mean, a lot of people they're yeah, I want to make video games. Okay, so what games do you like? I don't know. I like Doom. I like Quake. It's why are you even making games if you don't? One time I went on this forum and this guy was like, okay, I'm making a shoot 'em up. And he posted a question, what do you like in a shoot 'em up? And I'm gonna make that. That's crap. That's not, how is that, how can you do that and say I'm an artist or I'm indie or whatever?
Right.
You're just making what someone else wants,